Hi, welcome back to the Watercolour Westport Stories podcast. Today we are in the Farron Bungalow, which is one of our new floor plans, and you can come and explore that in person when you come visit us. But really the priority of this podcast is to build community and to introduce you to people who have chosen to live in Westport either as retailers, or if you saw our last episode, you saw our farmer friend, Matt. And today it's a privilege to have with us Bob and Michelle. They are new buyers to homes in Watercolour, and I am excited to share their story with you and to have them share a little bit about their journey so far. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here.
It's too.
Always exciting to talk to homeowners who are on such a neat journey of discovery and of change and all the things that can bring a lot of excitement to life. So I'm really excited just to hear your story and to learn a little bit about you. So who are Bob and Michelle?
Where do we come from?
Yeah, just a little bit about you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we both, Bob and I, grew up in Oshawa, Ontario. So that has been our place of residence since we were born in 1964. Okay. So we've been there all our lives. We've worked there. We've raised our children there. We've been homeowners there. Our home right now, we've had for 36 years. Okay. So we are leaving that home, our first home, and now we are moving to Westport. And we were both educators in the Durham Catholic District School Board for all of those years. And again, our children were raised there, went to school there, and they have now left the Durham region, and we're ready to do the same.
So teachers, what did you teach, Bob?
I started in primary, so I was one of the first men to be teaching grade 3, and I was teaching primary and then junior intermediate, and then I became a school principal, and then a school superintendent. Did that the last 6 years of my career, and have really loved this process with the team approach at Watercolour, because the last 3 years of my job was building schools. With working with the trades and working with all the components and the complexities of building a large complex building. So this is similar but different because it's building a complex community and it's a team approach. So the very first time we came in here, you could see the quality of the teamwork, but that manifested itself in the quality of the construction because people are on the same page. So
that's a really interesting background because there are so many things that you would have picked up along the way. Mm-hmm. When you start off in that elementary classroom and being kind of, like you say, it is unusual to have a male teacher in that role. Grade 3, I know my children went through, it wasn't until maybe they hit grade 7 or 8 that they had a male teacher. So it's a very different experience. And then you led significant projects. Actually, that's how Stephen Rolston and I met. I was chairing a board of directors for a non-profit Christian school in Ottawa, and his kids were in a grade 1 class with my daughter. And we stood under a canopy that was leaking at this old building, and we looked at each other and said, this could be better, right? And he said, yes, it could be. And 7 years later, you're opening up the doors of a new facility. So I understand it. You need a community and you need a lot.
Yes, and it was very interesting for me because I was an educator, I was a teacher, but I was a facility service superintendent. So when we were building schools, we were using some of the same things that you used here at Watercolour. And I'll talk about that when you ask me about our journey finding this place and discovering it, because there's some building strategies you can use to make spaces more healthy for people that are in them. In our case, children at the time, but in this case, families and retirees and whatnot. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And what did you teach?
I was an elementary school teacher as well for a number of years, and then I went into special education, and that's where I've spent most of my career years, where it was in special education as a student services coordinator and a special education consultant for the school board for both elementary and secondary. So that's where my passion is, in special education.
So you have a very big heart for inclusion and acceptance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I always say there's a distinction there too, because it's one thing to accept that someone is different than you, but then to actually include them into your circle and your life and your there are lots of things you have to navigate when that happens.
It's That's right.
That's really special. Did you find that the change of going to retirement, both of you are retired now, yes?
We are,
Yeah.
and you know, I think it was both of us. I could say that we were ready to retire when we did. That was almost 7 years ago.
Okay.
And no, we were ready for that, and went away for a while. Did a nice European trip, which we had always dreamed about. We did that. Then, sadly, COVID hit in March of that following year. So it worked out well that we were at home at that time, retired, and we did not have to be to provide the leadership in our roles any longer in the school boards.
Oh yeah, I imagine that was a very difficult time for educators to
it
try
was
to.
very difficult.
We did pivot in to do a lot of volunteer work in retirement now.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
like Michelle's been involved with like Feed the Need and food banks and whatnot, and I've been involved with Special Olympics as a head coach and working at the hospital in Durham Region as a spiritual health visitor. It's a new program there. So. And other things that are on a board of directors and that kind of thing with seniors board of directors. So we've done different things to keep our mind active.
Yeah. And to
And
give back with all of the talents that you have.
Absolutely,
right?
we enjoyed volunteer work.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding. So
And
then-
educators typically want to be lifelong learners themselves.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
We're always looking forward to opportunities for new learning, and as you say, we're lifelong learners. So we like to be involved.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I might have heard this through the grapevine that to come to watercolor, you've had quite a journey of exploring.
Well, you know, and if you don't mind,
No, I don't mind. I'm going to call up my notes because I had to write them down. But.
a number of we've always talked about leaving Oshawa. Not sure where we were going to go, but you know, we had always been there and wanted something new. And it was really for the turning point more for me. Bob would have gone years ago, but the turning point for me, I would say, was over Christmas, this past Christmas, we were in Canmore, Alberta. We spent 3 weeks there. And for me, we were in a condo in a golf resort, so it was very quiet, peaceful, incredible views, an abundance of trees and mountain scenes, and mountain views. And being able to walk out the door each day and have trails throughout, natural settings, and just fresh air and quiet, peaceful environment to walk in. And that to me, I thought, this is what I want. This is what I'm craving for. And our son was with us at the time, and he said, Mom, I think this is the lifestyle that you want. And I said, I think you're right. This is what I want. And I felt safe walking out in the evenings on my own, and again, just being surrounded by natural beauty was so important to us. So it was when we got home and we said, okay, I think we're ready to start exploring communities east of Oshawa. We wanted to leave Durham Region, so we started exploring small communities, Coburg, Port Hope, Port Perry, Uxbridge, Belleville, Brockville, all those areas. And it was interesting because Bob said, this is the time to start exploring in winter when, you know, there's snow and we'll get a real understanding of what the communities have to offer and what they look like. So that's what we did. We went on some road trips every few days in the winter and looked at different developments in these areas. And we found some areas, and we were looking first at condominiums. Is that what we want to explore? And then we thought, no, I think housing is better for us. So we looked at houses that were pre-owned and then new builds. Didn't quite get a sense. It seemed to be more of what we were leaving. So it was, there wasn't any drastic change, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was that was missing. The more we looked on the websites then you start getting advertising
Oh, of
from
course.
different
Yes.
developers. And then
Yes.
this Watercolour Westport came up, and he said, "What about Westport?" I said, it's a little bit far." But he said, "Well, you know what? We have nothing else to do. Let's go and explore." Well, we came to Westport, and just driving along Highway 10, seeing these beautiful lakes that were covered
Yes.
in snow,
Oh.
and the trees, and it was just,
Little
I
fairyland.
felt that, I just could breathe again.
Yeah.
And then when we drove in to Watercolour Westport, I remember seeing a couple our age walking along with yoga mats, and they were walking along a trail, and I thought, I wonder where they're coming from and where they're going. And I saw that the big hill there with the chairs and
Yes,
the
Hilltop
metal
Park.
art. And the first thing I did was I asked Paul when we entered the model home, what is that? And he said, well, those are the trails. I said, now would we have access to those, or is that private property? And he said, no, absolutely you have access to it.
We
And
built
I said,
that just for you.
I said, Bob, this is what
She says, I'm home.
this is where we need to be.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for, what we are looking for. And from the moment we walked into that model home, we felt so welcomed by the people. And we had our boots on and our coat, hat ready to go into the model homes. And Paul said, no, come in. We're not going to go looking. This is your time to come and sit down, meet the team, have lunch. And I was, okay, so that in itself, slow down, take your time. You don't have to make decisions right now.
Yeah.
And here we were, welcomed into this lovely room, this setting, surrounded by the team, and we broke bread together.
Isn't that
And
beautiful?
it was so beautiful, and I just thought, wow, this is a community. It's like the theme song for Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And we just felt
Was that a tipping point for you, though, to leave Oshawa, that you didn't know people? Because having
the
community.
more the city grows, interestingly enough, the more isolated you become.
Yeah.
And I think we were feeling isolated. We've been in the same neighborhood, but people are starting to leave. And our neighbors, we were a tight-knit group of people, but again, now the new owners,
It's amazing to me that you feel that way after all those years, but I can relate to it. I think things do change, and as growth comes, you feel less connected.
yes,
Right.
And that disconnection creates a discomfort.
absolutely.
And you feel like this is something I need to fix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like what I would describe it as driving into this community, I just felt, man, I'm in the midst of something here. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out. And it's kind of like when you purchase something and you have like a reality TV home show where people say, I have my must-haves.
Yes.
Like it has to be move-in ready, it has to have this. And we had some must-haves, and I wrote them down. Like this has been in my phone for months.
Oh,
And-
I have to hear them.
Yeah, so and I want to tell you about the search. This is 5 provinces. We looked at subdivisions in 5 provinces. Vancouver to Newfoundland. Vancouver, like coast to coast, not coast to coast, but just coast to coast, and included, I think, 5 subdivisions within the Greater Toronto Area and east. And we found wonderful communities. We either went in person or we went online and went on. And people had good visions. Like I never want to talk negatively about any other community.
Sure, that's not what this is. Yeah.
But these look-fors were just, as we spent 2 days here when we first came, we're like checking them off. So like we were looking for an energy efficient builder with environmentally friendly construction practices and philosophy.
Okay.
So I saw that online, but was still skeptical. I wanted to see it in person, and we get here and you're actually seeing it in a multitude of houses. A neighborhood focused on community development and sustainability, and both of us as educators have an interest in that. Water preservation, forestry, and sustainable farming, sustainable development.
Yeah.
So the vision of Land Ark Homes here is they weren't clear cutting and
Right.
and taking away all the topsoil. They were saying, okay, what are the features we have here that are natural? We're keeping those, and we're not used to that. We're used to clear cutting and taking. So when we drove in and Michelle talked about the welcoming neighborhood, I thought that pile of soil was the backfill that we see in the GTA, where they take all the soil away, they build a mountain and then they put a little bit of soil in everyone's front lawn.
Yes.
And here it was a park
Yeah.
that was fully accessible. So
Very
those were a
intentional
few.
in the use of the land and the plan.
Yes.
And the other one that there's a woman, an architect, Sarah Suzanka, who works with, she wrote a book called The Not So Big House.
Yes.
And she uses natural light.
Stephen has circulated that book widely amongst the team.
Right. So
In fact, I think it might have been required reading at one point.
There you go.
So one of like our look fors was, okay, how has this builder and their team used natural light to enhance space? Okay, and we did that we used to make libraries when we built schools. They look 3 times the size they were by tricking the human eye with light. It looked like a lot bigger. So I noticed in every model you've done that. So that was a check. And then streets that were designed to be connected to nature for easy access, and the nature that is accessed has its ecology preserved and not bulldozed or clear cut. So we could see that with the naked eye, but then we were told how each of the trailheads are going to connect and eventually go all the way to Ottawa and other directions, and anybody in the subdivision can literally walk under 100 meters and be at a trailhead. That's very, very unique Canada-wide. Like you haven't seen that. There's a few places, and then the walkability of the neighborhood with close proximity to town amenities.
Yes, so that you're
and
not getting
a
in
waterfront.
Yeah.
And a water feature or waterfront, and in this case, the Rideau system.
And then, as I said, the couple walking with their
Yes,
yoga
where were
mats.
they?
I remember saying to Paul, "Where would they be going?" He said, "Well, they offer yoga and a fitness class is just down the street. You can walk to." I thought, "Oh, that's for me."
So really, what we've encountered, Wafa, is like communities across the country that have building practices. A lot of them are trying to do what Watercolour is doing, but a lot of it becomes cookie cutter. For a lot of times for economic reasons, because of the price of land, whatever the reason is.
Yes.
And that's not what Watercolour is about. And
there's a lot of pressure on builders and developers.
there is.
Absolutely.
And it's very expensive. Development charges, there's all underground services are double price now. So it's a very difficult business to do, but the work that's going in, there's a lot of groundwork that we see is going in by the staff here. They're really promoting the area, but they're also putting their money where their mouth is and saying this is what we have, and this is what it's connected to, and this is what you'll get if you live here. We found tons of communities that were walkable and things, but most of them you had to drive your car with your bicycle, your skis, your snowshoes, or your kayak or canoe to get it to where those trailheads were, where those water features were. And here you can literally walk. And I know I can get we're kayakers, so we kayak on the ocean, but we kayak on lakes, so we know we can get our wheels and we can pull our kayak to 3 different ponds or lakes here.
Yes.
Or hop on our bikes and go for a bike ride. We don't have to put them on the back of the car and drive somewhere, which defeats the whole purpose.
It's very different experience to just get out your door. I know a lot of our homeowners, like their destination biking, because there are some trails that can connect to some lovely destinations.
So excited about exploring the area more fully. And one thing I just want to go back to what Bob was saying is that is so important too, and that made us feel very good, is again not being pressured by the builder or by the salespeople here. When Bob made the initial call to Watercolour, and we were asking, okay, what are the prices? What can you offer? it was Paul that said, you know what, I'm not going to give you anything over the phone. You need to come spend some time here at Watercolour, and don't be in any hurry, and we can sit down and share the information, share our philosophy with you. And we thought, that's interesting, but let's do it.
Sure.
And boy, was that ever an eye-opener for us.
It was an eye-opener.
That again, that feeling, that welcoming feeling, and what can we do so that you are part of a community and you are wanting to share with others? What do you have to share to the community? We as the builder, this is what we can do, but what can you do as homeowners? What could you do to offer to your neighborhood, to your community?
To feel you can put down roots.
Absolutely.
No, I was just going to say, because you would have had access to a lot of information, though, on our website.
We did.
Okay, and so did you have all the tools to kind of to narrow down some choices or some search criteria through?
We did.
Yeah.
Like the website is superior to anything we've seen, and the reason why I would use that word is that whatever you're seeing online is exactly what you're seeing in person.
Yes.
And that's extremely rare because, sometimes it's just by accident. You have a professional videographer, for example, that makes it look amazing, and you get here and go, well, that drywall, that not that great, but here you walked out of the virtual reality into present reality, and they matched.
What you see is what you get.
Extremely hard to do, and not without a ton of work on the people that are behind the vision of the community. So for us, that was a real game changer for us, because these people are for real. They're not going to build 120 houses and say, see you later, bye-bye, and good luck. They have invested in the community, and there are people that are living here that work here. There's people that have moved here that share their expertise in their office and give feedback and ideas on the house.
We do.
Wafa, we live in a world now that physicians are prescribing nature as a prescription to address physical and mental health ailments or conditions. And I use the word in the midst at the beginning of what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I would say that Watercolour has access to nature. It has access to vistas where you're seeing views that are healthy. The construction of the buildings uses the natural light, as I say, to improve mental health. We know that's a fact, that people that are exposed to natural light and whatnot. So the subdivision is in the midst of all of that. It has access to water, it has access to trails, it has access to amenities. People need to have amenities, and some people can't drive far or long distances.
Right.
So you can walk here to get what you need in the community. So it's really got all of the above, and as Michelle said earlier, just the search. There's a discernment piece here as well, because when you're moving to a new community, you have to do some soul searching on what am I leaving?
Yes.
And what am I entering?
Yes.
Yeah.
And as Michelle said, in that discernment process, we've walked into an inclusive, welcoming community. And I say kudos. I just say kudos to all the people on the staff and to the founder of the neighborhood and the
We're
owner.
very blessed to have wonderful people like yourselves discovering us. And it's interesting as you sit there, because I can, in my mind's eye, think of different couples that I've had the privilege of speaking to who echo what you say and who came for the same purposes and are contributing and feeling like the like-mindedness really does build a stronger community for people that are pulling all in the same direction,
Right.
And I think that there's something, though, to be said about the process of leaving.
Right.
So there will be those things that you think about, that you look forward to, and the things that you do mourn when you leave somewhere. But I've heard a lot about what you're looking forward to. What's some of your advice to those that are looking to make the break, though? There must have, there's those things you've said already that of feeling disconnected from community and looking for more. What's some of the advice?
Well, it's interesting. As Bob said earlier, volunteer work is important to us. We want to give back to our community. And when we mentioned that to the team, they said, oh, well, in the binder we're going to provide you with is a list of volunteer opportunities. It was already prepared, and we thought, okay, you do need us for something. So again, that opportunity to be part of the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's, I think the advice part for people is to do your homework. There's the emotional piece of leaving something and going somewhere else. There's a spiritual aspect to it where you've got to do that discernment piece. And then there's a practicality part of it.
Sure.
You have to move somewhere where you're going to be comfortable and feel safe.
You've both said that word about the safety.
Yeah.
And I know that oftentimes Stephen will say, it's smaller, safer, better, just feeling more connected to your neighbors and to nature, just
right.
that there's that assurance. Did you feel unsafe in your previous neighborhoods?
No,
or was there an angst about?
I wouldn't say we felt unsafe. I just felt, and you're leaving a place that you can drive to. You can choose from 8 different grocery stores.
Yes.
And 2 major box stores that a lot of people go to buy, chicken and hot dogs at. And
that will remain nameless.
Right. And you have everything at your fingertips.
Yes.
But I found as the older we get, okay, what is our priority here? Is it stuff? Is it things? Is it materialism? What is it? And you start to reflect on, what's important, and you realize the absolute power of community and people working together for a common purpose. And in this case, it might just be the common purpose might just be being good neighbors and chatting with your neighbors or helping each other when someone is in need. And I'm always reluctant to look at a place that you were at that provided your family and provided, security and a job and everything else throughout the years. But on the other hand, I think that it's, and that's one of the things I love about what Stephen is doing is we have, as a country, as a nation, we have to start looking at sustainability.
I was going to ask about that and what your thoughts were on moving to a net zero ready home, and was that, you've talked about sustainability and those practices can go all the way from the land plan to, the longevity of the home, but then there's the efficiency, the carbon footprint reduction and those types of
Right, well, it's a data discussion, right? If you want to be engineering about it, it's we know what the data tells us that how the world will look in 20 years if we continue to consume water and power the way we've always done it, or have a carbon footprint the way we've always. So we know the answer now. So it's a question of stepping outside of the box and saying, I'm going to make a difference. And I've never believed that one person cannot make a difference. Often it is one person that decides they're going to stand up and say, okay, I need to be a role model for others. But being a role model is one thing, but showing the proof and showing the data to say, okay, this is why it's better. Okay, yes. Is it a little harder, a little more expensive maybe to do something like this? It might be, but what you're getting back in a legacy in the community, and we used to talk a lot about this in the school system, you invest in children when they're very young.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to pay 10 times that in cost and other social services later on. It's the same with construction of houses. If they're poorly constructed, you're going to have major issues down the road. If you build them sustainably with this philosophy of net zero ready, it's going to pay huge dividends. And for the community of Westport, just water consumption and power consumption and the way you can sustainably build and develop your town. If it's just a clear-cut bulldoze model, you always have issues. And the reason I say that is we've witnessed that in the major centers. Yeah. And
it's the pride of ownership, home ownership, which we see here. As new homeowners, Stephen has built this beautiful area, and at some point he's going to be turning it over to all the neighbors here, and it's our responsibility. It becomes our responsibility, right? To maintain.
Yes, it'll be the village. It's all gifted over to the village, the bridges and the paths.
Absolutely.
And the education, and I love the word stewardship. Whether people realize it or not, they're being taught by a teacher, himself and the staff on, okay, and then once we're gone, this is how, and people behaviors will change with the net zero ready concept. That's how you bring about change. because you have to be educated
Yes.
about that change. Otherwise, it's tough to take ownership of it because you really don't know where it's going. So from that perspective, that's been so impressive to us because it's very impressive.
It's been an investment. You know,
We've
had
Yes.
seminars and webinars
Right.
and on-site events and off-site events and publishing, whether it's collateral material for our sales team to use to educate, or bringing in experts that we've learned from,
Right.
or connecting with the broader community of people who are concerned about net zero construction through the Canadian Home Builders Association. There's
Right.
a lot of avenues that those
Yeah.
types of conversations can happen and you get drawn into, and it's been fascinating for me as a person on the team to discover the proven technology that has been there all these years,
That's
but
right.
laid dormant really and not been
Laid
integrated
dormant.
into homes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And now Bob and I, we wanted to make a commitment to the environment, and we gave up one car. So now we are a one car family, and so this area suits us well because it is walkable.
Yeah.
And we
are
are not going to be reliant on the car to get to different places.
That's really empowering.
Yes.
And it's healthier.
It's healthier.
It's healthier
and
for
I
you.
love to walk. I'm an avid walker. So
Right.
this community for me is just ideal.
Exciting. So you've picked your lot, you've picked your plan.
We have picked a
Our
lot.
plan.
We did our decor yesterday.
Okay.
And we met with the plumber and the electrician today. And so we've had lots of constructive discussions over the last couple of days. And we're very excited about what.
Yeah, we said this to your Matthew, I guess he's the site super.
Yes.
And we just said, how much we appreciated that collaborative approach because, and I don't like talking about myself too much, but I remember in my previous career, I described about school construction. You
Yes.
could walk into a construction site and know right away if the trades and management staff were collaborating because you could see it in the quality of the trades or the work. Because no one knew what the other person with the left
Expectations were-
hand and the
yes.
right hand was saying or doing, and everything here is collaborative. So then it's double checked and triple checked, and then sent to us for our review, and then we send it back with any changes. We did run into this a lot, Wafa, and I'll be careful how I say this, but it was often we ran into situations where we went into a sales office, and the question was, what were we going to do to accommodate the builder?
Oh.
Yes.
So for example, asking for a closing date, and they say, well, it's a 6-month window. It'll start at a year and it could go 18 months or less
okay.
or more.
Okay.
But we can't even come close to guaranteeing that. So, our question, well, how do we plan for a move? Well, that's up to you.
Yeah.
So here it was, this is our closing date. We've never missed one yet. And that's us being forgiving, knowing it could be over.
Sure.
And they said, no, because we collaborate through every stage, we know through the first 38 houses we've built, we've hit every closing date. Well, not only is that practical, it's thousands of dollars because if you're storing your furniture somewhere,
Yes. Or negotiating a sale of your other home.
Absolutely.
negotiating a sale of a home, and that's not a small matter. So,
No.
just to hear that was like, oh, okay, are you sure you can meet this? Well, we haven't missed the date yet, so.
That's music to your ears.
Yes.
Well, it's a big deal, and
Yeah, it
I
is a
thought
big
to
deal.
myself, well, thank you for that. Thank you for giving. This is not a small investment.
Right. No, it is not.
The days of buying $149,000 houses ended a long time ago. That wouldn't even cover your fees that you have to pay to a municipality. So, it's expensive to build homes. So a customer that's going to spend their life savings or their inheritance or whatever they have.
Yeah, we're just treating you the way we want to be treated.
That's absolutely
That's right.
And honoring you in a way
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
the golden rule that every faith tradition in the world uses. Why wouldn't a builder use that?
Yeah. Very well put.
Yeah.
Very
So,
well put. Yeah.
you
It's a process, and I think the other side of it too is just the confidence that you've had in terms of talking to Matt and to whoever. I don't know if you've met Joe Gurman yet or any of the other,
Several of the others.
several of the others. Noah, all these other individuals who will pull together to make it all
Yes,
happen.
yes.
And Land Ark has a wonderful legacy of dealing with the
Yeah.
trades over decades, and we keep an even flow to construction so that the trades are constantly occupied and we keep them on site and everyone works collaboratively. So I'm excited for them to work on your home.
Information is always continuing to be provided to us. We don't have to keep calling to find out details. Land Ark people are calling us and providing us with any information that we require. So it's been
and the customization, you've been able to make some choices that you feel are going to make your home unique to you.
Absolutely,
that's awesome.
It was
really nice.
It was a lot of fun yesterday.
Yeah,
a lot of expensive fun.
I said to Bob, I think I might have to go back and do some supply teaching to make up for the difference in our.
And I think the final thing I'd say, Wafa, is just about reputation. So you only have one chance with your reputation.
Yes.
And that's what I respect about this group, is that they're putting their reputations on the line and they're giving examples how they can back their reputation up. There's no way in a million years I would call, like, I'm only going to speak for myself. We only have one reputation too. And I wouldn't come on this blog and recommend to my friends, family, former co-workers and people from other areas of Ontario to come all the way out here if I didn't believe in this vision.
Yes.
Well, that's our very best compliment.
And see it.
That is our very
in action.
To see it in action, and it's been a pleasure to volunteer to do this because it's bigger than one subdivision. It's a national legacy that I know. I have a feeling that Stephen is looking at. He's saying, I want a difference. You know, it's a famous U.S. President Kennedy said, what can you do for your country first before you look at what you can do for yourself? Yeah. And that's what I see with this project, Net Zero Ready Home. If this expanded across the country, it would have profound impacts to our marshlands, to our environmentally sensitive areas across the country, because just in the process alone.
Yes.
Because it's a discussion you're having with your municipality about, okay, so where's the ecology?
And once you create a pattern, it's a lot easier to follow along.
Right.
You're not blazing the trail for the first time. And there are all those small little communities, and you've visited many of them where the development could have taken a different turn.
We did. Dozens of them.
And the whole philosophy around the porch community.
Yes. What do you think about having a front porch and a back porch?
This is something that we've always wanted, a porch. Bob and I are the type, we have a small two-step.
It's 38 inches across.
With the front door. We are the only ones, and we look at our neighbors who have these big front porches. We're the only ones that sit out on our little step with our cup of coffee, and the other porches are empty.
And they're this wide because you can't fit on them.
And it goes back to what I'm saying, is that here we just feel that there's pride and ownership, and people want to be part of a community.
There's connection.
And that's what we seem to be losing now in the cities as they grow. People are buying houses or they're renting, and there's not that pride anymore in home ownership, and you don't have that neighborliness, sadly, but it's reality. People are there commuting, they're getting home, and they're going in their house, and you don't see them again. Whereas one time we knew all the neighbors, we looked out for each other's children, you know, we did things together as neighbors, and sadly that's disappeared. And it goes back to what I was saying, the larger our cities become, more development there is, it seems that we're becoming more isolated. And so we look forward to the opportunity to be in the smaller community and be part of an active community and neighborhood.
That's really exciting.
And we still have access to it. What's unique too is we can go south 35 minutes and be in a big city, and we can go
Kingston.
We can go 20 minutes to Perth and have all the amenities as well, or go all the way to Ottawa that has an international airport and eventually a high-speed train.
Yes, that'll be an interesting development. We'll see where that
so
goes.
So it's a very unique situation here because the geography makes it very unique too. So.
Yeah. When do you hope to move in?
October 15th is the date that we've been given.
Okay.
Yes.
That will be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we will check in again on your journey.
Okay.
And
we
see
look
how
forward
it's going.
to it.
And you know what you said earlier really does mean a lot to me, and I know to the rest of our team, that you wouldn't be here telling your story if you weren't proud of your decision and if you weren't 100% behind the Land Ark team And that's just part of becoming the Land Ark family. So thank you for that. I know for myself too, being part of this team has just been such a delight, and I'm very proud to be doing this because I'm not a podcast host. This is not,
Well, and
you know, so to do this,
And this is the first one we've ever done.
there you go.
And if I can just say one more thing, and that is, I found so unique is that he even invites new homeowners to come in and be like a welcoming committee for people coming into the model home. So we got to know Mona.
Oh, yes, of course,
You know,
Mona.
that first day. And I thought, what a great idea. And she said, come over to my house, come and see it. And I thought, wow, that is something. So you can share your own experience of being a new homeowner in this development. I thought that was a great idea. So often we've been going into new developments and they'll say, just go ahead, go into all the model homes. So you're on your own and you don't have anyone to really talk to about
what you're seeing.
What you're seeing. So this is wonderful. We look forward to future visits.
We'll be checking in to hear all the different things
we appreciate you inviting us on.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks. So we invite you to come to visit us in Watercolour. Experience Westport. We will roll out the welcome mat every time. Thanks.